Good afternoon and welcome to Take Your Life Back Today's show with Ralf Friedrichs. Today we're going to talk about something more personal for me that I want to share with you, and that's 5 lessons that I've learned in recovery. But as always, I want to discuss I Declare 31 Promises Throughout Your Lifetime by Joel Osteen, and I had said not 18 shows ago that I would do the next 31 shows according to my promises, my declarations to you. And here is Show 18's declaration. I declare breakthroughs are coming in my life. Not a trickle, not a stream, but a flood of God's power. A flood of healing, a flood of wisdom, a flood of favor. I am a breakthrough person and I choose to live breakthrough-minded. I am expecting God to overwhelm me with His goodness and amaze me with His favor, and this is my declaration, folks. I declare breakthrough are coming in my life. Sudden burst of God's goodness, not a trickle, not a stream, but a flood of God's power, a flood of healing, a flood of wisdom, a flood of favor. I am a breakthrough person and I choose to live through a breakthrough mind. I am expecting God to overwhelm me with His goodness and amaze me with His favor. This is my 18th declaration out of my next 31 shows, this is the 18th show. This is 31 Promises by Joel Osteen to make through your lifetime, and I decided to do my next 31 shows according to 31 promises. Now, what we want to also do is give a shout out to Dr. Luis Gonzalez from Starting Point, 1-844-414-8444. That's Dr. Luis Gonzalez. He is at www.startingpointmn.com. That's StartingPointmn.com, Dr. Luis Gonzalez. He has 2 sides of his business that I want to advertise, and one of them is to help you walk from your recovery, or from your addiction to your recovery, hand in hand. He will walk with you daily. He will concentrate on today, worry on today and tomorrow only. He will not worry about your past. He will not discuss your past, nor will I as a coach. We are not counselors or therapists, but we are addiction recovery coaches. We're life coaches. We are here to help motivate you, to make you see that today can be the first day for you to take your life back. On the other side of his business, he can turn you into an addiction recovery coach. That is exactly what I am. I am a graduate from his educational program. If you have passion, professionalism, and personality, and you have some sort of addiction background like I did, or I still do, where I'm recovering from my own addiction. If you have an addiction background, whether it's your own or a family member, reach out to him, 844-414-8444, and ask for Dr. Luis Gonzalez, and tell him that Ralf Friedrichs from the Take Your Life Back Today show referred you. Now, also, I want to give a shout out to www.globaleyeglasses.com. That's GLOBALEYEGLASSES.com. That's www.globaleyeglasses.com. They are focused on saving you money. They offer eyeglasses from $6 all the way up to $49 for the frames, which include standard non-coated plastic lenses. Now, you can add things like anti-reflecting coating, transitions, photochromatics, polarization, progressives, which is a no line bifocal. Line bifocals, you can have distance, you can have reading. There is over 1,000 frames for you to choose from at www.globaleyeglasses.com. Focus on saving you money. I want to give a shout out to myself, of course. www.clearviews.info and www.clearreform.com. You notice both my websites start with the word clear. CLEAR stands for Community Lessons Empower Addiction Recovery. It is people like you and me, you, my audience, and me, together, our experiences with addiction or without, or maybe family members that have addiction. It's our stories, our knowledge being exchanged that empower addiction recovery. Go to www.clearviews.info or www.clearreform.com, and you will find There you will find information on addiction recovery. I'm sorry, I just had to just turn the volume down on my phone, so I got sidetracked. But anyway, you go to clearviews.info, you will find all the information you need on addiction and recovery. You go to clearreform.com and you will find me to help you take your life back. 5 lessons that I have learned in recovery. One of the quotes that I want to give you folks, and it's a very strong quote. Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. So the more you have faced, the more you are going through in life, the stronger your mind is becoming. It's like weightlifting. With weights, your muscles become bigger and stronger. So whatever difficulties you have faced or are still facing, whether you're in a nursing home or in jail or in a homeless shelter, difficulties strengthen your mind as labor does the body. The beginning in recovery sucked. It really did for me. I wouldn't call it an enjoyable experience at all, but I am extremely grateful that I had the pleasure and the opportunity to face my demons way in the beginning. Who knows where I'd be if not for the start of my recovery. In recovery, I had a few aha moments where the truth was all of a sudden so clear that I just was overwhelmed. We had a lot of positive responses from the show that I entitled Lessons I Have Learned in Recovery, so I wanted to follow up with another show about recovery. Let me just turn this down a little bit. If the day comes that you find yourself in recovery, hopefully these words can help you along the way. Here goes. I had no clue what I was doing. Like any person that first comes into recovery, you have no clue what's going on. You have no clue. You have no action plan. Out of all the negative personality traits I continuously have to work on, arrogance tops the list. It's a flaw. In my drinking days, I had all the answers. Oh, so I thought I did. No one could tell me anything I didn't already know, and if somebody offered me advice, my reaction was to be defensive, as if someone were trying to boss me around. I don't know what my problem was other than my substance abuse with alcohol. On my first day of recovery, in the first hours, I read a sign that was hung on the wall at one of the AA meetings, which was the first time I ever went there. I'm sure this sign is on many walls in AA rooms, and it said, "If your way was so good, why are you sitting here? If your way was so good, why are you sitting here in AA?" There was no way around it. Everything I thought I knew led me right into this, sitting on a couch reading that sign which said it all. The truth was finally revealed to me. I didn't know how to live my life. I needed to humble myself and come to accept the fact that maybe, just maybe, there are people out there that know things that I do not know. It's better to be happy. We were having a group meeting. One of the attendees was preaching about Jesus. My personal opinions about other people's beliefs are irrelevant, but at that time, I was very resentful and even hostile towards anyone who wanted to use the Bible as a foundation of morality. It is right after that that I reached up to God for guidance and direction. But before that, whether it was my sisters, my brother, or anyone else that would tell me they need to pray about it, it's all in God's hand, I would kind of like turn my other way. I was still running with the whole arrogance thing, and so I would argue about pretty much anything with anyone. I found myself countering everything this guy said. Every point he made, I had a quick and effective rebuttal in my head. I remember thinking, man, am I really schooling this guy? In my head I was thinking this. Of course, I verbally didn't challenge him. I would have lost. In that moment, it felt good to show all these people just how much I knew. Again, all in my head. I wanted to be the smartest guy in rehab. I was really shooting for the stars. Very nonchalantly, during my verbal assassination in my head, a sponsor slowly walked over to the chalkboard and wrote a few words. It is as if he knew what I was thinking about in my head. And it said as follows, and I quote, I'd rather be happy than right. Think about that. You don't need to be right all the time. It is better to be happy than to be right. You are human. You're going to be wrong. I am wrong almost every day about something. The majority of the time, my percentages are higher being right, thank God, and I hope that same goes for you. He calmly sat back down after writing, I'd rather be happy than right. I just stopped arguing in my own head right then and there. That's when the epiphany happened. That's when I started reaching out to my Lord Jesus Christ. All this time I had spent so much of my energy telling people what I thought they needed to do. I was angry about so much. I was angry about awful things that happened to me, whether it be relationship, financially. It could have been anything, but it was all directly related to two things: not knowing God and having no battle plan to fight my disease called alcoholism. I was angry at so many people because I felt betrayed. I was angry at other people for being happy. I just was so miserable. Why would anyone be upset with anyone being happy? Well, that was me. Why? What good was it? What good was anger doing for me? It wasn't getting me anywhere. It was time for me to let go of my anger. I had to deal with it and learn how to get past it. After that, I stopped arguing with people so much. It is then again where I reached to my higher power, and God helped me. Alcohol isn't the problem, but it still is the problem. Understand that alcohol isn't the problem, but it's still the problem. I see the truth in saying that alcohol wasn't the problem. I was the problem. I get it. I identify with having to fix ourselves from the inside and get to the underlying issue of why I was actually drinking. Totally agree on that. However, it is difficult to do any soul searching with a bottle of scotch or a bottle of vodka on the table. Before I could tackle any issue, I had to stop getting drunk. It sounds very cushy to say things about fixing yourself from the inside and dealing with trauma and all that, but if you are an addict like I am, you must first stop getting drunk. The most important thing is to do that. That is when you finally hit rock bottom. The lesson has followed me throughout my recovery. No matter what happens, no matter what I'm going through, the most important thing is not, I repeat, not to pick up any alcohol. As long as I don't pick up, I have a chance to go. I have a chance to succeed. I have a chance of full sobriety. I have a chance as long as I don't drink. I have the opportunity to work on everything else. But if I do drink, who knows where that will take me again. It's all about how I'm living my life. The same sponsor that blew my mind with the chalkboard sat me down about a few days into my stint, and it was my last few days with AA because I then decided to go and do my own thing. I was ranting to him about how hard I was trying in life and how I was not getting anywhere. I had a great career and I was working my butt off in my career. I had decent money coming in, but I was unable to get ahead. I couldn't see any connection between my lifestyle and my struggles. So, this gentleman said, he asked me these four simple words. How you living, kid? I was not living well. I wasn't eating enough, I should say. I barely drank water and I hadn't been exercising. I didn't treat people well. I had pretty much isolated myself from my entire family. I hadn't been living a positive or healthy lifestyle by any means. Sobriety and happiness is more than feeling good all the time. It's also about living well. I started treating people better. I started to help others, even if it meant giving someone a loaf of bread or getting something from another room for someone. That's what I did, or even changing the coffee. I started getting more actively involved because now, as I sit here, going into, I don't even know how many days, possibly 600 and something days into my sobriety, I can tell you that I love helping other people, which I didn't do before I hit rock bottom. I couldn't stand being around other people without challenging them. As time passed, I started to realize that the more I did for myself and for other people, the better off I was. It snowballed into a life worth living. Playtime was over. My wife and I tried to make our home look happy, but if I wasn't such a mess, it would have been a great home. On the surface, it probably seemed like everything was okay. We were in a group and I was talking about how awful I felt and how I ruined things. And in conversation, someone asked me where I lived. At that time, it dawned on me that I lived in a shell, not in a home. I had so much going on for me, but I was unwilling to let people help me and to admit that there was a real problem within myself. The gig was over for me. I finally decided on June 22nd, 2013. And I knew it was time for me to get working on myself. For you can't really help other people. You can't really love other people until you help yourself, until you love yourself. Wrapping it all up, this is just a glimpse of what I was going through in my head during my first couple weeks of recovery. The truth is, I don't remember a lot of it. The first 6 months and even the first couple of weeks of my recovery were all a bit of a blur because everything was almost like a tornado, a cyclone. Everything went quick. I still had alcohol the first week in me from my last binge drinking. So things started clearing up. If there is one piece of advice that I want to give to you folks, it is that you must be willing to change. It all comes to stop denying. Acceptance is an important first step for many people. But if you're not willing to really look at yourself, it'd be hard to start in your recovery, and it's going to be a very tough road ahead. If there's any way that I can help you with, please do call me, 844-405-HELP, or text me at 631-599-0218. Folks, these are my lessons that I have learned, and I'm going to recap, but I want you to remember this quote. Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. In the beginning of recovery, it really did suck. And these are some of the things. I had no clue what I was doing. Just like if you're just beginning today, you're not going to know what to do. It is people like myself, people like Dr. Luis Gonzalez from Starting Point. We are the people that have already gone through a lot of this and are still continuously learning and going through daily. But we can help you if you reach out. Dr. Luis Gonzalez, you can reach him at 844-414-8444. You can reach me at 844-405-HELP. Out of all the negative personality traits I continuously have to work on, arrogance was the top one. I wanted to argue about everything with anyone. I felt I knew it all, and nobody knew as much as I did. But as I was sitting in AA my first day, I saw a sign on the wall, and it said, if your way was so good, why are you sitting here in AA reading this sign? Why are you sitting here? It is better to be happy than to be right. This is what a person at AA told me. Because I told him about my arrogance and my control factors, and he said, isn't it better to be happy than to be right? We as humans will find that we cannot be right about everything. If you are batting a 75% out of 100 of being correct, that is excellent. Remember, alcohol isn't the problem, but it is still the problem. It isn't the alcohol, it's you. Let me read this. I see the truth in the saying that alcohol wasn't the problem. I was the problem. Because you have a brain that can control what comes into you, whether it's drugs or alcohol. It is all mind over matter. That's why I am here to tell you that no matter who you are, if you can just say, I've had it, and stick to it, it will disappear. I get it that alcohol isn't a problem, it's you and or me. I identify with having to fix ourselves from the inside and get to the underlying issue of why we all actually drink. Why did I drink? Reason number one, I enjoyed intoxication. Reason number two, escape reality. Reason number three, I thought I was happier that way. Why did I quit? Reason number one, to live. Reason number two, to keep my family. Reason number three, because God told me it's time. It sounds like a very cushy. It sounds very cushy to say things are about fixing yourself from the inside and dealing with trauma and all that. But if you are an addict, like I am an addict, you must first stop getting drunk. It all stops. It all starts with you stopping. Until you get to the point where you can put down the drinks and you can put down your drugs permanently, you will never recover. You will go like I used to, relapse after relapse after relapse. It's all about how you are living. Listen to what I wrote. The same sponsor that blew my mind with the chalkboard reading of I'd rather be happy than right. Where was I? I was ranting to him about how hard I was trying my life and how I'm trying to get things right. And he told me, well, how you living, kid? And it made so much sense, because what you really need to do is you need to get exercise. You need to eat properly. You need to get enough sleep, and you need to be positive. That is so important, folks. One thing mostly that I encourage on every single show that I produce, or that I do, my wife produces, is the positive side of you. Every problem in life, every negative thing has a positive side. There's a reason that people say, is my glass half empty or half full? Think about that. There's a reason why people say half a loaf of bread is better than no loaf of bread. Those are two positive things for a negative statement. Here is something positive for you, folks. No matter how bad people think that you are, no matter how people say that you're worth nothing, I will give you a positive spin by telling you God loves you no matter what you are, no matter what you've done, including murder if you've done that. If you reach out to God and ask for guidance and direction, He will forgive you. He will give you a fresh start. Now, whether you committed murder, rape, or whatever crime you might have committed, just because God forgives you does not mean that any city, county, state, or federal court will. You will have to pay for your crime. But through the eyes of God, you are forgiven. You have a fresh start. Let today, December 12th, 2014, be the day where I help you take your life back. If you're ready to finally say, I'm putting down the bottle of scotch or vodka or beer, putting down the joints, crack or coke, do two things. First thing is to admit it like you just did to me. The second thing is to reach out to God. Ask for guidance and direction, because without His guidance and direction, you will be in the same predicament, because you obviously, like I couldn't, control our own lives. You need to have a higher power. A higher power equals hope. Without hope, life is worthless. You need to hope for something. Concentrate on the Lord Jesus Christ. He will be there step by step by step to guide you, not only through your recovery, but throughout your whole life, to make you a well-balanced person again. Each and every day, my life becomes more and more shaped to the human that I was created when God, or when my mom gave birth to me. Each and every day. It's a long process. It will not be an overnight thing for you either. But start with those two things. The denial, stop it, and reach out to God. And then try AA. They have the 12-step program. Try my methods. Reach out to me, 844-405-HELP. Go to treatment center or rehab center. But no matter which method you try, two things are very important. The end result has to be sobriety. And the second thing is when you're finished with AA at the end of the day, my methods at the end of the day, rehab after 10, 30, 60 days, don't ever, ever go back to your old abusive ways again. Don't ever. Continue on your road to recover each and every hour, each and every day, each and every week. You get where it's going. My recovery starts in the morning and ends when I go to sleep. Sometimes I even dream about my shows and what my next subject will be. It takes about approximately 6 hours to create a show from soup to nuts. Then I have my websites, and I have my pages, and I have my social networking, and I have texts, emails, comments to read. So my recovery daily is about 8 to 12 hours at least. And that's why I couldn't stay with AA, because I felt an hour and a half a day was not sufficient for me. I needed to be more actively involved in my recovery. And my methods really, really work. Because I will give you, with my methods, I will give you a reason to smile during your recovery. I'll give you a reason to be happy. But more importantly, I'll give you a reason to have hope. And that's through the power of God. Go to one of my shows where I have a video called The Power of Prayer, and how I explain in The Power of Prayer that if you take a bottle of Gatorade, let's say grape flavored, leave the cap on it, and put that under running water with the cap on it, you'll notice that the clear water, which I'm going to call prayer, hits the cap, but it can't go into the dark grape area of the Gatorade. But as soon as you lift that cap, which I'm going to call your limitations, lift it up and have the clear water, which is prayer, going into the dark water, which is your body, constantly. Eventually, the more prayer, the more clear water that goes into that dark bottle will become clear. And that is the power of prayer. The more you pray over and over and over and over, never-ending prayers, the more clear your inside will become. As you pray each and every day, you might not get results right away. Might be days, might be weeks, might be years. But the more you pray, the more you're generating something within inside you, and that is called hope. That is so important, to have something to hope for, something to look forward to. And if you continuously do that, you will find yourself to become a more balanced person. And while you're balancing your own life, help balance your children's life and your grandchildren's life. If they're living with you, be a good role model. Don't smoke, drink, use profanity, or use physical abuse in front of them. I would love for you to tell me you're not going to do any of that anywhere, but obviously we're human, we're still going to do things. But if you need to drink and smoke, do it outside of the house. If you need to curse, do it away from your children. And I hope to God you never have to physically abuse anyone. Because if you do have that urge, you need to see a counselor or a therapist. And if you're watching and you're a victim of someone that physically abuses yourself, you need to call 911. It is better to call 911 and have your loved one taken out in handcuffs and hopefully get some sort of treatment to come back to you one day a better person, than for 911 to come and take your body out in the body bag because you were so physically beat up or abused. Folks, be a good role model. It starts in your home. Teach your children well. Teach your children to be just like you. You are their hero. You are their role model. So what you do is what they're going to see and repeat. Show them love. Show them respect. Show them passion and compassion. But it all starts with you, and it all starts in your home. 5 lessons that I have learned in recovery. Please, folks, remember these quotes. Difficulty strengthens the mind as labor does the body. Remember this, what I saw in AA. If your way was so good, why are you sitting here in AA? And remember, because I always had to be right, I always had to counteract anybody's statement. And somebody told me on the chalk, somebody wrote this on the chalkboard. It said, "I'd rather be happy than right." Don't you want to be happy today? It all starts today. Call me, 844-405-HELP, and let me help you take your life back. Remember to let the sunshine into your heart and your home, and you will get nothing but positive results, that I promise you. Stay away from the negative people. There are people, no matter what you say to them, no matter what you do with them, they're going to find fault. Stay away from them. Remember, a sober today, I guarantee you, will give you a better tomorrow. just remember that everything is within your heart and in your mind. You can do whatever you want in life if you put your mind to it, including stopping drugs and alcohol. But it all starts with you. I hope to do another show on the 13th of December. Just a FYI, my father will be here between December 21st and the 31st of December. My shows will be not every day, probably every other day, but during the days that I am not filming or videotaping, I will be running reruns. If you have any requests on any of my old shows, text me 631-599-0218 and I will get them out there on those certain dates. And if anyone wants to be interviewed off camera, on the phone, no face, no name given, tell me what your story is so you can help another person with your story. You're a real person with a real story, and there is a real person out there that needs to hear it. Text me 631-599-0218 and we can do the telephone interview anytime, and I promise you I will air it. No name has to be given. I hope to God that every person has a great weekend coming up. Today is Thursday, but a great weekend coming up. But more importantly, I hope to God that you have a sober day. May God bless you.